Yes.
the cat's name?
It's the mascots.
His name's
Rosie.
Mascot? Rosie. Hey, Rosie, are you a
This is
cat?
my
So
Rose.
we're here with Rosie, everybody. It's Thursday night.
Rosie.
We are back for a second week in a row. I'm Ryan. Who are you, miss, on the bottom with Rosie?
I am Jackie, and I am a coach, student, and person at Flow State Martial Arts.
I love that. And that's the new trade. What is it? Coach,
Coach,
student, person.
student, person. I
And
want
she
to
is
add
all
like
three.
entity.
Admin. And who are you, sir?
Admin,
Jo-
entity, ghost.
John Anthony with Supportive Alliance.
Hello, sir. Hello, Jackie, person, entity, ghost, Johnny Anthony with Supportive Alliance. All right, so we're here, and my name is Ryan. If I didn't say it, I am a coach at Flow State as well. I'm a coach, student, person at Flow State as well. And we're here. We're getting a good rhythm. It's February 26th. My goodness, we've been dealing with
Yeah.
snow. We've been dealing with school cancellations. I don't think that my kids have had a Monday of school in over a month. So we got a lot going on. A lot of things have been delayed, and tonight we're going to be talking about delayed gratification. But first, Coach Jackie, do you have any tips for us?
Yes, I do. And I thought this went pretty well with our theme for the week for delayed gratification. And it is to focus on refinement, not new
Oh,
beginnings.
I love this.
So yes. So let's say, we have a goal of some sort, and sometimes we can think like, hey, like I'm not moving towards my goal fast enough. Maybe I don't think I'm progressing as fast and as much as I should be. But so instead of just kind of scrapping it and throwing it all away to maybe start something new that maybe I can move towards faster, to take a pause, to stop and just see where we are and have the patience to keep moving towards the goal that we set. As I said, instead of like scrapping it and just getting the gratification and excitement of starting something new, because sometimes even in my habits, it's more exciting. If I want to start a new hobby, I always find for me it's way more exciting to sometimes collect the things for the hobby instead of actually like starting it and having the patience to try. Like I know, like I love to draw, and how excited sometimes I get when I'm like, I haven't drawn anything in a really long time. I'm gonna get back into drawing. So I'm so excited. I go to the art store, I get the new sketchbook, I get the erasers, I get the pencils. It's all new and shiny, and then I start, and man, I'm not really as good at this as I want to be, as quickly as I want to be. Kind of loses its luster, and then you go on to the next thing, a new beginning, when I should have stuck with what I was doing, and I should have taken the time and the patience to practice.
Yeah.
So that is my addition to this week, in line with our um, motto, delay gratification.
Delayed gratification. I do love all of that. I love how you use the word refine because I think something I've definitely heard refine be used in martial arts time and time again. Terms like steel, sharpen steel, and things like that. So what you're saying about sketchbooks and things, right? We've experienced it with people.
Mhm.
They have a great first session. I had a great time. The energy was right. But then they're really good at throwing a jab cross hook while they're standing still. And the second you ask them to move their feet, it feels like you're asking them to shift the world. Now, I need you to punch while you move your feet, right? And that takes time. Of course, some people get it quicker than others, and some people it takes a little bit more refinement. But regardless, sometimes it's accomplished athletes that are high level achievers. It's not fast enough. I'm not good. Well, you're good at wrestling. This is different. This is boxing, right? I need you to be happy in this moment, right? And then some people where maybe they
Mhm.
haven't played a team sport or done anything like this before, right? It's helping them build that confidence and being happy with each and every session because as we know, right? Good or bad, so long as it's done, that is a rep.
Mhm.
That is points earned and you
Mhm.
continue to refine yourself. So I love that. What do you think, John Anthony? I didn't want to keep going unless I gave you a chance to talk.
Well, I think the only drawing I've made is on my checking account. So
That's easy.
That's further back. Are you still using a checkbook?
Yeah.
That's okay. That's okay. I don't think I have one. I probably need one for adult things. So Jackie and I always make the joke because our significant others are the pretty much the heads of the household. So Coach Jackie and I huddle up once in a while and randomly say, I don't want to pay a mortgage. And Jackie will usually reply, I don't really know what a mortgage is, but I would prefer to not have to pay one
And I
also.
also and I also spell it wrong.
Oh, so listen, you can't
They
really get.
charge you more if you spell it wrong.
Well, I was just about to say
Don't let me talk to them then.
you can't get delayed gratification if you pay your mortgage late. You'll just get a notice. But on that note, why don't we jump right into it? So, John Anthony, I know that you kind of like to be surprised sometimes. Coach Jackie sometimes likes a little. Coach Jackie sometimes look. God, John Anthony's moving too. Jackie has gotten better, in my opinion, of not needing all the answers, but I know that Jackie likes a hint. I know that Jackie,
Thank you.
yeah, she likes a little substance that she can just, it's in there, right? This is the direction we're heading. So,
I would just love just an idea.
just an idea, and that's what she's asked, right? Just a little notice, and I think that's fair. She's been communicative about that. So, I told her today that we were going to do delayed gratification. So, John Anthony, we're doing delayed gratification. And the reason being is because I've heard you two say it a lot the last few weeks, and some things that have happened more recently in my life, I am kind of just thinking that delayed gratification affects us in more ways than we may realize. And I'm just going to use the example that when I was in a really tough spot, or when I am in a really tough spot with my mental health, I want to be fixed right now. Right now. The second I calm down, can't everything go normal? Can't the people around me just be calm? No, everyone's shell shocked, right? But I want you to be nip, and then it just keeps going. Then I keep throwing myself into the spiral, right? But that aside, other things, I'm thinking to myself, like the other night, I was watching a movie. I was watching Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter is Dead with my beautiful wife. It's one of my lifelong favorite movies from the early 90s. And when it was over, I actually looked at Monica and I was like, I did not touch my cell phone once, which I actually was thinking to myself, this is a big accomplishment, and I'm not sure that that's a good thing. I sat there, I enjoyed the movie. Monica and I had a little bit of dialogue about some funny parts and things, but I didn't touch my cell phone. So the delayed gratification, I think it's something that is, I don't want to say plaguing, maybe affecting a lot of us today. We have a lot of options. So I'm just going to ask you, John Anthony, real quick. I don't have anything for you to run off of, but if you could define delayed gratification, how would you do it as an expert in your field?
That was a delay.
I knew he was just going to say something about how it took him forever.
Delayed gratification is something that children have a challenge with, and then sometimes we grow up and become adults and are challenged by it too. We want something and we want it now. But this wise man once told me many, many years ago, the fruit of patience, excuse me.
Sure.
The fruit of patience is very sweet. So when you have a fruit that's ripening on the tree, it's got to get ripe. It's there, but it's not ready to be eaten.
Right.
And when you wait till it's ripe, it's very sweet. But if you rush too quickly, it hasn't matured to all of its sweetness, and then you end up not really having something that's enjoyable. And I think that a lot of times in life we can, want things right away, and then we end up, rushing them too soon, and then it doesn't, we don't gain the full benefits of whatever it is that we were waiting for because we were in too much of a hurry. We wanted the answer now. I wanted it now.
So I don't know if you all could see that on my screen. If you did, I apologize. I'm trying to get this up here. Give me 1 second.
There it
There
is.
it is. Okay, so I was uploading it. I apologize. So bouncing off of what John Anthony just said, giving everybody the AI Google breakdown of delayed gratification. Again, these in this day and age, these AI breakdowns are normally compiled of 5 or more articles. Again, it's just data, and this is what the data of multiple resources has compiled, saying that delayed gratification is the ability, very interesting that it's labeled that way. Delayed gratification is the ability to resist an immediate, smaller reward in order to receive a larger, more valuable reward later. It requires impulse control, patience, and self regulation, enabling long term success in areas like finance, health, and career. Examples include saving money instead of spending, studying instead of watching TV, or exercising for long term fitness. Again, not really 2 or 3 days a
Mhm.
week, really putting in the time in the gym and outside of the gym to help you reach your goals, whatever they may be. And tonight we're talking about our own experiences with delayed gratification. We'll also gather some tools and thoughts to help if this is an area of opportunity in your day to day routine. And so, that being said, um, delayed gratification. I keep thinking about how John Anthony has mentioned it with his kids, how Vera's, helped make it a part of life. And I think when you make it part of life, things are, I don't want to say easier. The first word that comes to mind, I would maybe
That was
say,
the first word that came to my
I
mind.
want to say lighter. Because I don't think we want to train ourselves or everyone, our children, to think that life is going to be a smooth ride, right? I think that kind of takes away from what we're trying to do with delayed gratification. But I'm having a little bit of a
Maybe
challenge with my kids.
sometimes, maybe like instead of easier or lighter, or maybe that, sometimes it's okay to be a little uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable.
We're like, if we're waiting for something, like we're in a space where maybe like we're waiting to get something, and oh my gosh, like I want it right now, give it to me. We'll just wait, whatever it is, to then get that reward, or thing, when the time is right.
So,
But until then, maybe I'm a little anxious or uncomfortable, but that's okay.
so I hear what you're saying and I like it, and I'm kind of curious to see what John Anthony, as a parent who practices it. John Anthony, do you and Vera, are you together or separately, help your children develop a certain mindset to be able to handle delayed gratification, if that makes sense? Kind of adding to what Jackie's saying.
Well, we just kind of delay it, and then they have to deal with it, and they learn to cope. And
Do you help them with
Vera's,
their emotions?
well, no, no, just
Okay.
you know, when my girls, I can't talk anything about, if I start to talk about my work, they, not the tools, daddy, not the tools. And they just don't want to hear from me, because they want to believe that they can do it themselves and that they don't need me. And I reinforce that.
I like that, yeah.
I like letting them be in charge of things, that are going on for them with their daily schedules and things like that, and their practices. And but you know, it what Veta used to do is, we would get Christmas presents from my relatives down in Maryland, and then we'd bring them home, and we'd have all these presents. And so she would let them open one at a time for each day. So you get to open one, and then you play with that, and then the next day you open the next one, and that was pretty much how we instilled it, where they just learned to be patient, and that they weren't going to get to open all their gifts at the same time, and they just learned to delay it. And so I think you know, everybody wants to get things right away, but they're pretty good at, when it doesn't come right away. But my wife really feels that she benefited from that experience, growing up, and so that's why she's trying to instill it in our children, because she grew up not having a lot of things, and so you had to wait. You know.
I, as we talk about delayed gratification, I hear everything you're saying about your household, and I love it. I love that you empower them. I love that you're kind of teaching them that mental fitness, right? That you're not really telling them this is just. I think it creates this mindset that like nobody's addressing my emotions, but I'm not going to freak out about it. Does that make sense? And the reason I say that is because, I've had a lot of conversations with Monica over the past couple months, and we've talked in depth about our childhoods. And, I got into a lot of trouble when I was younger. And Monica asked me one night, she's like, your parents never sent you to your room, grounded you, made you really think to yourself that you didn't want to do that again? I was like, nope. Nope. I love my parents. My dad was strong when he needed to be, but the best example that I can use, and I love my mother, and things are great now, and life has turned out great. But Monica still uses it in times of stress when she's stressed out with me. I got suspended from school one day for fighting at school, and my mother took me to the mall, bought me a GameCube and a bunch of clothes, and I went to the movies after. I think the mindset was my mother felt that I needed attention, I needed help, and she thought that would suit. Does that make sense? Because she wasn't very big on pushing or agitating, right? But what I found is that at this point in my life, whether it's my mental health, whether it's some things with the gym that Jackie and Monica and Paul and all of us are building, I just want things to happen right now, and it stresses me out sometimes. And so what I'm saying is that I can't remember a time in my life when I had to wait, and now here in my 30s, I do. And sometimes I'm good about it, but I ask myself, am I? How good am I? Right? And that's why I posted on social media today. Can you watch a movie or can you eat food without scrolling through your phone or reading a book? Can you sit there with your thoughts looking out the window, right? Can you watch a movie or a TV show in its entirety without just peeking at your phone, right? These, to me, in my opinion, are all things that would fall under delayed gratification items, we'll say. And so that's the spectrum I see delayed gratification at or on. And it's not just one thing. It's not gifts. That it has long-term effects if you don't teach your children some boundaries.
Yeah, well, if we don't teach them, they'll probably learn through life, the hard way. As they bump up against things, and where they're used to getting what they want, and then they aren't able to, and they have to wait. But it helps, to build character and to know that you're going to be okay. And you if you don't get that right now, it's not going to be the end of the world. So.
Yes. I in terms of delayed gratification, right? I'm curious. I'll start with John Anthony. John Anthony, can you eat your lunch without scrolling through your phone or watching TV or something and just sitting there with your thoughts? Can you do it? Do you do it?
The bully steals my lunch, so I don't get to.
The bully is me. I steal
I
his
bet
lunch.
Now, I don't have a problem scrolling through my phone, but I do enjoy the TV as a background. So, if I'm eating, I'll have, the TV on. And, I like to watch the news and things like that. And so I'll, catch up, see what's happening. And so the TV is what I use, not so much the phone or the computer. And, it's kind of ironic. TV was so taboo for our kids growing up. We
Yeah.
limited it to, they get one show a day that they could watch, a half hour, then somebody else would watch. And but they don't really watch TV anymore. They just don't watch it. And so I think it's because they, They're not. We don't let them use TikTok or things like that or Facebook, but there's still things on YouTube that they can scroll and go through and but it's funny. I think I predict that the TV is going to be a dinosaur one day, especially broadcast TV, because with
I
streaming
was
and
gonna
things
say at
like
least
that,
cable, yeah.
we you get it instantaneously and you don't have to wait. But
So I'm gonna use that opportunity to talk about some other things. So delayed gratification, we've mentioned mental health. I'll tell you how big I'm thinking about this, okay? And I'm thinking about myself, so I'm sorry to keep talking about myself. In the sense of slowing down on my energy drink intake, okay? It was a 5 hour energy or a cup of coffee in the morning to start the day. And then it was a 5 hour energy in the morning for the drive, and then an energy drink when I got to the gym. And I would sip on that. And I'd say to myself, it takes me all day to drink this drink, right? I'm fine. But what I've realized is that even just thinking about it, my heart and mind wants a freaking jolt so bad. So bad, so bad. Any kind of jolt I can get, right? And so to me, this affects my delayed gratification, my inability to just freaking sit there without putting something in my body, without touching something, without doing something to keep myself going. And so now my mind is like this, like how big does delayed gratification, how far does it expand? You see people in stoplights all the time. They don't text and drive, but some people can't get to a stoplight without looking at their phone and checking at it. So I'm just like, how much are we stressing ourselves out with our inability to just sit still?
The
Does that
more
make sense?
we speak about this and the more that we give examples of delayed gratification, the more I'm thinking maybe we're talking about stimulus. Because
Yes. Well,
if you're sitting like, okay, like if I have to like eat my food and I have to like have a TV at the same time as my phone while I'm eating my food, I feel like that's more stimulus. Like if, and I know the joke always is like, I cannot allow myself to have a single thought. So I will stimulate myself with, watching the TV or looking at my phone at the same time because a thought cannot occur. My own thought cannot occur. And then when we talk about like, okay, drinking like tons of caffeine, like again, dopamine to the brain, serotonin, stimulus, seeing colors on the rainbow, like kind of thing. Like that's what I'm thinking of right now.
here's where I
If this has
flip
a
it
lot
just
to
a
do with
tiny bit.
stimulus. Go ahead.
Here's where I flip it just a tiny bit because I thought to myself, I was like, I think you're thinking about, I said to myself, I was like, it might be a little bit out of the realm of delayed gratification. But you said you can't be alone with your thought. And that's been one of my biggest problems is I avoid it. I need the music to be right. I need to be feeling good. I don't want to have a second to sit with any of these negative thoughts. And so after going just 3 days without energy drinks, I'm driving to the gym to Pilates this morning. And I was like, I just feel.
Yes.
I
What
don't
is
feel
this?
super excited. I don't feel sad. I just feel. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? Does that sound weird? And I remember I was thinking to myself like, how was I before energy drinks and other stimulants that I use to just calm my mind in my free time, right? What was I or what have I been delaying? And as I think about it a little bit more, I've been delaying facing some things I need to handle. And not even just things for myself, things around the house, being more focused on things at the gym, being locked in. And so that's how I tie it into to delayed gratification. And it may not be a direct definition, but I think that I'm delaying dealing with things I need to deal with. What do you think?
Maybe. Because I think like delayed gratification and coming into this, I'm like, all right, like how do I deal with like delayed gratification like in my life? And like the number one example for me is that I am extremely patient, I think, as a person with, some of the obvious examples is if we're stuck in traffic or if you're stuck in like a really long fast food line at a drive-through, or if you're at a restaurant and like it's busy and the wait's really long. Like there really isn't a point that I've gotten to ever in my life where I'm like freaking out because I don't want to wait anymore. Even if the line is like minimal. because I've seen a lot of people and I've been around a lot of people where, if you're waiting in, the line at Chick-fil-A and, it's a little bit of a wait. There's a lot of cars here and, they have on one worker and the reaction being like, what's wrong with them? How come this line is so long? It's like, it's okay. It's like, it's not going to make the line like go faster. Like we can't, like, it is what it is. I don't need a chicken sandwich. I can go somewhere else. Like, you know what I mean? So I've never ever hit a point where like I've become extremely impatient. Maybe, if you're sitting in traffic or something, it's like, man, like, this is really taking a long time, but it's being like, okay, like I don't have control of this right now or something like that. And I'm credit myself with being very patient in this idea.
I think you're a very, very patient person. I'll ask both of you so I don't single anybody out. I've heard people say they refuse to watch shows where the entire season is not available. Or the most recent one I've heard is somebody will not start a show unless they know that the entire series has ran its course because they need to know that it's an ending. I
Depends what it
label all
is.
the
Oh
Well,
my
I was
God.
about to say, like, how many of you, let's take that, how many of you might be that person and then switch it? How many of you could just sit there in your living room for the night and write or draw? You can't have the
Mm-hmm.
TV on in the background. You can't have music running. You just gotta sit there with your
Oh, I gotta
phone.
have music when I draw. Like I
See,
just
I'm
listen
so
to the same
curious.
3 songs on repeat,
And see, here's
depending
the
on
thing.
what
I
I'm
want to be
drawing.
clear. I don't think that any of these things are a bad thing. They're great. They're great amenities to have in life. When I get up in the morning and I have to wake up the kids, the first thing I say is, Alexa, play 80s rock because I think it's nice to just have some sort of ambience. I think I picked that up from hospitality. Oh, Alexa's here. Alexa, please stop talking. Um, but yeah, I think that's something I'm actually thinking to myself. I think that a lot of us in this day and age have the inability to sit with our thoughts alone with them and get that ability to work on our impulse control as it lists, right? Because I got to tell you something. That's how I have felt at times with my phone, and I've tried to be cognizant of it. I've tried to be aware. Like, why do I need to look at my phone right now? Why? My kids are running around the living room. Why? Because I have nothing to do. Perhaps I should be interacting with them, right? Things like this start to pop up in my head. John Anthony, I've talked a lot. You got anything? I need something.
Yeah. Well, I think that, interacting is always a good thing with our kids. And that was what my wife was good at, more so than me. But I think, me being a couple of weeks older than you guys, I've grown up before you had the computer and things like that. You had TV that would distract, but so I learned to develop habits, and being in the present has been one of the best things that I've learned. Staying in the moment.
Yeah.
You know, it's just waiting for that fruit to ripen, and it's just how things usually work out. I find if I'm being aware when I set things up, it's and it's like I had things I had to do before I came on today, and I I knew that I had to do it, and then it got to the point where okay, now I have to do some things, and so I had to make some packets and take them to my office for new clients to pick up, and then water my plants because I'm going to York, PA tomorrow to see my daughter swim in districts, and I wouldn't be there on my usual Friday evening to when I water my plants, and but it was getting, and then I had to get gas at BJ's, and it was getting closer, but it was I could see that it was all going to work out, so just trusting, being in the moment, and I got on, I had to come home and shower, and then you know had a few minutes to wait for you guys to come on. And it's when things work out, it's just so enjoyable for me because I just was waiting, being in the moment, and
Yeah.
trusting that I'll know when I need to do something or what I need to do. And, and then when it works out, it's just very rewarding and satisfying. And so it's like anything, when you go out and you plant seeds, you got to wait for them to grow, and then when the crop starts growing, then you can appreciate the seeds that you've planted. Well, it's the same thing in life. We plant seeds, interactions, relationships, jobs, careers, and just letting them grow. It's can be very rewarding, and I find it to be a lot easier to be in the moment than to try to predict and jump ahead and calculate and all of that. It's just like, no, I don't need to know that till that time becomes now. I don't need to be ahead of myself here. And it's just very rewarding for me when I'm
Yeah.
able to do that.
I was talking to my therapist a week or two ago, and I've heard this a few times. People from Johnny Anthony's era, maybe not just Johnny Anthony's, maybe other people, right? Um, 2 or 3 jobs, maybe over the course of their lifetime, and it seems that that number, per my therapist, has ticked up to about 18 or 20 positions that somebody
Oh
may
my
hold in their
goodness.
lifetime. Right. Yeah. And that's a lot. That's a lot. And I really will track all of that back to delayed gratification in some capacity. Right. And it does list about careers. And, as John Anthony's talking about being in the moment, I'm thinking back to Marriott. The second that I would get a promotion, because Marriott's very good about letting you grow inside the company, I'd be like, oh, after this, it's going to be, and it's like, yo, just can be in this role, right? But not just me. Everybody in that company would say, I'm doing my year. I'm doing my year, because you could transfer after a year, right? And it's like, they're already at their retirement. They're already at a different point in their career. You know what I mean? And so, um, I would say, in my opinion, that that mindset, right? You inadvertently sometimes burn yourself out instead of just being in the position, going through the motions, not thinking too far ahead about your career, instead trying to figure out how you can balance Monday with Saturday and be at work and get done what you need to get done and be with the family on Saturday. Because yeah, going from 3 career moves to 18 to 20 in a lifetime, that's how can you ever be comfortable, if I'm being honest, right? Life's beautiful, right? Enjoy it, do what you want to do. But as somebody who really, I took that leap, if you will, I actually feel bad for people who aren't happy in a career and move 20 freaking times. To me, that's just too much on your mind and soul.
Mhm.
Well,
It depends because for me, at least, oh, I'm sorry,
no,
John
go ahead.
Anthony. Do you want to go? Oh no, I was gonna say for me, at least, like with I feel like bigger picture things, like how we're talking about career. I'm very good with like I'm good where I am.
Yeah.
Like I'm good. I'm here. I'm cruising. This is my life. I like my job. I've had I don't. I mean, do I really count my like first job I ever had in fast food? Like
Yeah.
like not
Yeah.
really. But that was my first job, and then I had the job at the country club, and then COVID happened, and now I have the job at the gym. So 3 jobs. But I'm very good with like, as I said, like, hey, like I'm here. I'm really just like enjoying my time. I'm happy. I'm not pressuring myself, and at the end of the day, I'm not really a very career driven, climbing the
And
corporate
that's fine.
ladder kind of. Yeah,
Hmm.
I just like I know what I
Hmm.
like and I know my limits. So like, hey, I'm just kind of here. But what John Anthony was saying earlier about just like things he has to do throughout his day or maybe like over the next few days, like I know I'm getting better at, but how he said like, well, that's not a right now problem, that's like a later
Hmm.
problem. For like me, everything is a right now
I
problem
know.
and I need to figure it out, or like but I've gotten so much better with it, I would say like maybe over the last like 2 or 3
No, you
months,
have.
where things I used to stress about with like work, like oh my gosh, like this week I have to do this at work, and then we have inventory and I have to do the schedule and I have to do this. But I've just been like, I'll do the schedule tomorrow. I got to ask this person if they can do this thing tomorrow. I can't worry about it until then. Because like in those little tiny areas, like I used to stress like super, super hard.
I,
Big
I just
things. I'm here. I'm cruising. Go
I
ahead.
just want to, yeah, I just want to say something real quick to what you said about work, and then I promise I'll let John Anthony speak if he wants to. You know, when it comes to like you're saying about work, I can tell you right now that even when I was working in hotels, I really, really, the word is admired people who could let upper management's demands roll off their back, but not ignore their responsibilities. Just stand firm and I'm doing what I need to do for this department. And that paper that you needed 2 weeks ago, you will get it when I have time to sit down and do the data. But until
Hmm.
then, I'm making sure that our operation is running, right? I was not good at that. I would stress myself out. I would stay all night long. I would make sure everything was perfect. I remember one freaking time Alexis had to miss a class because the kids had to take because I all of a sudden had to do, and all the other GMs, we had to
Yeah.
do a budget in 1 week, which people GMs usually have 3 months to do that. And
Mm-mm.
so now now my wife is okay with our eldest daughter taking our kids to school. And in retrospect, we were like, whoa, we bent way too much. So
Yep.
I just want to say I admire the people who can really be in the moment and just be focused on what they need to do, even when they have a ton of responsibility. I think that's really, really a testament to their character and their ability to handle delayed gratification.
Well, it's funny. And when I worked in the restaurant industry, originally I got hired as a hostess, and like I'd come in, I would do my little hostess job, and then I would go home. And that was like the happiest I was there at the time because I just stayed in my lane. I had what I
Mm,
did. Nothing. I don't want to say like I would help out when I needed to help out, but hostessing was all that was expected of me. And then I wanted to do like dining room manager, and they were like, "Hey, do you want to do this?" And I was like, "Yep." Took on all these other things. Miserable,
right.
absolutely
Yeah. Mm,
miserable.
mm.
So that's why I'm like, I just like stay in my lane. I know what I like to do. I don't know how hotels work, but if I was, like front desk or something like that, and you'd be like, hey, do you want to? No, I'm good. Thank you, though. Do you want to do more? No. I
I,
like my
I,
schedule. I like my pay. No, thank you.
Yeah, no, I actually respect those people too, in the sense that, I remember being with a lot of high level managers, and I'd be like, "What do you think next? Area director?" I'd be like, "No, no."
No.
Right? They'd be like, I don't want
Because
that type
here's,
of trouble." I
because here's
respect
what
that you
Jackie is.
understand that.
There's like the boss, the second boss, me. I'm
Yeah,
good with that.
yeah, no,
Like
I understand
you,
that.
I'll be the right hand, and you tell me what to do. Then you report to the boss. I'm good. That's me.
I no, I agree. I think that's great that you always know where you're at. Well, John Anthony, you've been your own boss for like 20 years. How's your delayed gratification?
Um, it's going pretty good. Um, I I learned to not just delay my gratification, but to delay things that need to get done. Because it doesn't have to be done right now, and so I can you know do something else that I enjoy, and then I'll do you know what I have to do. But I like to enjoy things before I do the things that need to be done. Um, but you
Yeah.
said something about burnout, and I think that's something that's an interesting phenomenon for a lot of people. And
I agree.
what I found is that burnout is what happens when I'm trying to change or control things that I can't change or
Mm,
control. When I first started, when I made my transition from engineering to counseling, and I got a job as a psych tech at this hospital, and I was running groups, and it was down in Florida, and there was a lot of elderly people, and they were having alcohol problems, and so trying to get them to stop doing things. And when I first started, I was trying to get them to see things a certain way or to change things of how they were doing it. And I used to, it was just 1 hour meeting, and I used to leave feeling exhausted.
mm. Because you couldn't control it.
because I was trying to cause change in all these areas that I don't have control. And what I've learned to do over the years when I do my groups now, I feel energized because the person is doing the work. They're looking at the tools, they're seeing the patterns of where they are in the conflict. They're trying to understand themselves better. And they're looking to see what they need to do to give themselves that love, that are you a cat, instead of with their anger trying to make somebody else give it to them. And so, when they're doing their work and I'm just creating a space, everybody leaves that group energized because we are controlling ourselves and we become controlled by whatever we try to control. My grass grows. I don't want it to be that tall, so I cut it. It grows. So something as mundane as grass ends up controlling me. Why? Because I'm trying to control it. If I just let it grow, it could do whatever it wants to do, and I wouldn't have to go out there and cut it because I'm not trying to control the grass. Well, it's real easy to see that for grass, but there's things that we do with people, where we want people to treat us a certain way or to be a certain way or to respond a certain way. And when they don't, it gets, can be a power struggle. And when I'm trying to change things that I can't control, that's when I'm going to be exhausted.
Yeah, like to what you said about burnout, first of all, I'm with you in the sense that, like, as somebody who felt it, it's so interesting because the more I hear about it, I get anxious for people because I kind of thought I was in a unique position, and it hurts my heart when I hear that other people are just so worn out by the job, whatever else might be going on. But so, in regards to burnout, you know, I think everybody knows that, or at this point in my life, I really just can't. The word is can't do anything I don't not want to do, believe in, anything my heart's not in. And so to that, I actually think back to myself. I think back to myself. I read a quote yesterday. It said, change the memory. If it was a bad memory, turn it into a good one, right? What did you get out of it? What did you learn? Who did you become as a person? What did you change? Did you become that adult that you needed growing up? Whatever it may be. But in regards to all of that, I try to take responsibility about my past memories, about corporate America, and I get honest with myself. There was times where I could have left that work phone at home and ignored it. There was times those emails could have waited till the next day. There was times all of this work could have not stressed me out, but I let it. And so sometimes I kind of wonder, like, if I really respected my time and space and communicated better, because I don't communicate or did not communicate well when I felt like there was too much going on, right? I believe I could have been more successful. I know that my thoughts drove me to a point that I didn't need to get to, if that makes sense. And so when we talk about burnout, I think a lot of people just don't respect their time or space. And I think that, then they try to control, right? They try to control at home, they try to control at work, maybe a little bit of road rage as you're driving to or from work. And I don't say that jokingly. I'm saying that these are actual things that happen. And I think a lot of times people do it to themselves. I do. Oh, well, my boss. Why do you let your boss get you there? How are you talking to your boss? How are you letting your boss talk to you? And, I'll say one more thing and then I'll let it go. I remember when I was at a seminar with, you remember Jocko and his team and that leadership thing. I remember that Jocko was really, really all about telling you what you could do in the situation. You could be positive. You could try to be patient and shift it. You could come up with a plan that maybe somebody doesn't see, but make sure you deliver it in a teamwork way, right? Not a like, I have an idea. And this guy just kept asking, and finally Jocko said, then I think it might be time for you to move on, right? And I think these are things that we need to analyze, but I do believe a lot of times in life, at work, at home, we are the ones stressing ourselves out and burning ourselves out.
I think I agree with that 100%. You know, we're 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 causing the good things and we're causing the bad things with our thinking. And our thoughts are so powerful that we're having them all the time. We don't realize just how powerful they are because we just have them. But when I pay attention to them and I'm mindful, and because the thing that I wanted to add, when I'm being controlled by that grass, because I have to go out and cut it again, it's can become exhausting because the grass seems to be controlling me because I'm trying to control it. But when I learn to control myself
Mhm.
as I respond to things, then that's when I become energized because I'm being controlled by something I'm trying to control, myself, and I can control myself, but I can't control other people and circumstances. And so when I learn to control myself as I respond to things around me, then I'm going to be more energized because I'm only having to change me. I don't have to change you or somebody else. I can respond to you, and it's energizing because I'm controlling me and I'm not trying to control you.
Protect your peace, right? That's a quote I see a lot, and I think it's important. But my little opinion on that note into what you just said is, in my opinion, protect your peace does not mean completely ignore the situation. It does not mean tell the person off. It's just, I think you've said it to me over the years. It's kind of just like, no, I'm sorry, I'm ready to go home now, and that's it. No, I'm very sorry. Thank you for your time. I love my job. I'm going home now. And
Or
yeah, go ahead.
or you can be like, well, when you said that, I was thinking of like a party or something. Like you went out with friends. So, okay, you know what? I'm ready to go home now. Or it could be, hey, you know what? It's really, I'm not going to come out tonight because I really just
Yeah.
don't want to.
No, yeah, 100%, 100%. You feel better, right? Because I know maybe, well, I knew this other girl named Jackie. She looked a lot like you and did martial arts and things like that. She would think about the date and let it stress her out all week long. But there's
Is
this
it me?
relief when you're like, I'm doing this for myself. I mean, if you say it's you, right? But
So you're
there is a
telling
relief.
Jackie does martial arts.
But didn't you start to feel better when you were just like, no,
Yes.
I don't want to right now. Thank you.
Yes.
I love
Yes.
you, but I don't want to go out
Yeah,
right now.
I love you so much, but I am so tired.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, yeah. Would you want me to go and be miserable? And then they're like, "What's wrong?" It's like I didn't want to go out, right? But see, here's the thing: when they ask you what's wrong, and you go, "Nothing," you're the problem, right? It was your choice to not protect your peace and say, "Hey, I don't want to go out tonight." Does that make sense?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
it's taking responsibility for what I choose, and regardless of what it is, if I just take responsibility for it and trust that, there's something that I'm going to benefit from this, that's why I chose it. And, so you said earlier, finding the good, finding the value in the experience. Um, that is me controlling my thinking as to what I'm looking at, and then therefore I'm going to be controlling my feelings and then my attitude and my experience because I'm paying attention and being responsible for what I think and then what I feel. So, and sometimes because we're thinking so much, um, our feelings can let me know when my thinking is getting off track, because if I'm feeling fearful, hurtful feelings, then there must be something in my thinking that's fearful or hurtful. And when I look at it and do what I need to do to bring love into my thinking, because I'm respecting myself, where I'm not going to do something I don't want to do or allow somebody else to do it to me. And I'm also respecting somebody else and not making them do something that they don't want to do. And then the same with the understanding, the acceptance, the whole "are you a cat?" Giving it to myself and giving it to others is one way that I create love in my life.
Yeah.
And that there's two kinds of love that nobody can take away from me. Do you either of you know what they are?
Is it the love for yourself and the love that you have for others?
Yep. Yeah.
Hey!
The love that I give to myself, nobody can take away from me unless I let them.
Hmm.
And the love that I choose to give to someone else, no one can take that away from me unless I let them. So I can choose to love me and choose to love you anytime I want. And you can't stop me if I want to love you. You can try to do things, but it doesn't mean that, I can still choose to respect you, to understand and accept you, to care, appreciate, and trust you. And then when I do it for myself, then that's when I'm going to be in a good place with my energy, because I'm creating love in my life, love with my thinking and my feelings.
There's
So,
one little quote I always see that I have saved on my phone. It says, "Despite the rage, I am kind." And that always has stuck with me because I just think, like, I don't know, it's such a powerful statement. Like when I hear it, that just, in a world where maybe if things are cruel or cold, like just to be kind through that, either to myself or to a situation, it just feels like very like 100 times more powerful than any cruelty like ever or any aggression
yeah.
ever.
It's
Yeah.
definitely powerful, like you said, and like John Anthony said, because we know I say it all the time. I do believe in energy and positive energy, and I think sometimes, or I know, I'll go as far as to say I know, or I'll say I think. In my experience, a lot of times words aren't even needed, and so where I learned that was in New York City, and one instance that well, first of all, anytime somebody came up to me and I just wasn't in the mood, whether it was they were having a protest and they wanted to give me a flyer or they wanted to ask me for money, I just would go like this. That's
Nothing.
all I would do. I would just make this form. And I say that because one thing I'll never forget was I had to go back to the train station in Journal Square, which is where I was parking at the time. It's by World Trade Center outside of New York City, so it can get a little. We'll use the term sketchy around there. Um, and there was a couple sleeping in the stairway because that's where they were holding up for the night. I had to step over them to get through, and I'll never forget. I went like this, and the gentleman was awake, and he just looked at me and went, "Right, because that's where you're sleeping. I don't want to disturb you. I'm so sorry that I have to step over you and this beautiful young lady that you're with right now, but I need to get by." And I will say that those little moments made me appreciate a lot of things. You know what I mean? All of the things that I'm blessed with, and just giving love to myself and giving love to this person whom I've never met before, but my heart, is feeling for you right now. But there was this like connection for a second, if that makes sense. And so, I believe in energy, I believe in positivity, and really, really, the love that you give to yourself and the love that you give to others, that's between you and them, and nobody. You should never let anybody, in my opinion, impede on those emotions ever. Can keep that for yourself. It's sacred.
Your story
Yeah.
made me emotional. I
Sorry.
could cry right now. But
Well,
it's funny that your mannerisms with this story and your behavior. I know you hear me talk about my uncle a lot, who's close in age with me, and we spend a lot of time together in recent years, just getting very close and spending time with our his girlfriend and then Paul, just everybody just being very close. And
Yeah.
he's kind of got that same attitude and like mannerism. Like as soon as you did that, I was like, why does that remind me of John? But he spends a lot of he works up there, same like in
Same
the city.
area. Okay.
Yeah, just all over, like just goes in and out of the city all the time, has worked in,
Mm.
in the city for many, 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 many years. So I wonder if it's just kind of like that's the kind of people that come out, or ones of the kinds of people that come out when like you just kind of learn, I don't know, just that, like what you described. Because it's like the
Yeah.
same
No.
exact
It's
thing. Because he's got like this very like humble, just so like down to earth, in tune, but can be very like tough, but just this like gentle humbleness at the same time. I don't know. It's crazy. I just like saw him so clearly just now.
No, it's what I'll say to what you're saying. You said your uncle or cousin? Uncle, I'm
My
sorry.
uncle. My uncle.
Uncle,
Yeah.
right? The best way I can put it is, they say if I can make it in New York City, I can make it anywhere, or whatever the saying is. So true.
I
I
should
mean, you
spend a week
see,
there. It would do me good.
yeah, listen, uh, you see a lot of people in terrible situations, or unfortunate, we should say, still doing good.
Yeah.
You see a lot of violence. I'll be very honest, on the
Mm-hmm.
subway and in the street, and you kind of just get to this point where you're just like, I'll never forget. I was like waiting for the bus to get out of the city. I was exhausted from the day, and two guys were arguing right next to me at the stop, and I'll never forget. I was just like this, and next thing I know is I just feel, and I go like this. A fist flew by me at the other
Oh my
guy,
god.
and these two start just scuffling, and it is one of those situations where I was like, I'm not at the hotel, I'm not a manager, I don't know if anybody has a weapon, I cannot get involved, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you kind of tell yourself at some point, if you're working or living in New York, you kind of there's desensitized, right?
Yeah.
But so how do you handle that, like, desensitization? How do you handle that, right? We'll just say, how do you handle that? I think the direction I went was, my heart couldn't ignore it, so I became more empathetic, if that makes sense. But it
Even
is an
like
interesting place to work or live. Both.
there was one time we had all gone in. We had taken to that station, and then we were transferring to go to somewhere else
Journal
in the city. I
Square.
forget. Yeah, yeah. And we had gotten on. We were transferring, getting on the next train, and we got on the next train, and there was a homeless man who was very much like not in his right mind, like making noise. And for me, like who I'm not used to that, I'm just kind of like, okay, like.
You're like, what's
And
going
then
on?
yeah, and then John was there, and he's like, oh, he has shoes on today. That's good.
Yeah,
So
no,
it's
that's
just
what
like,
happens. That's what
like
happens.
this whole history of like he has seen this man 100 times, and he's like, oh, he's got like shoes on today. All right, great. Like good for him. I'm happy for him. I was just like, oh my gosh, like what is going
No,
on?
like,
This man's famous.
one more thing to add to what you just said, to kind of put, I guess, a comedic spin on it, and then I'll let John Anthony talk, because I know we have been talking. In the sense of, John Anthony was talking last week about Colorado. You said you moved and you were on your own, and it's kind of helped you shape your character and other things. Was that it? Did I get that right? Colorado?
That was one place I lived for a winter. Yeah.
Yes. I could say in New York, I went there. I was raised in the suburbs of Bucks County, and I was kind of like, just sit still, sit still. You know what I mean? But you do get to this point where you do see the same people, and you're like, Nick, you can't. No, no, you can't be in the hotel. You can't be in the hotel, bro. I've told you this. If you need to use the restroom, fine. But you can't be sleeping in the bathroom. And you find yourself speaking to people like this, and I say speaking to people, and you do realize everyone's human.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's going through something, period. Whether this is their living situation and you have another, but you are Nick. I know you now. You are a person. I would treat you like one. Policy and law says that I can't let you sleep in this bathroom. If you would like to use it, that's where I meet you halfway. But Nick, you can not be here. Got it? Okay, guys. Okay. All right, buddy. All right. And it sounds like it's the same experience or mentality that your uncle developed. You kind of just learn to love people differently because there's a lot
You
going on.
just said it so humbly, like just kind of like just observant, like it was nothing. I was like, oh. But it gave this whole backstory. I don't know. But yeah, it always stuck with me.
Yeah. Well, he was finding the positive in the situation.
Yeah.
Jack Canfield, who's famous for Chicken Soup for the Souls. He's one of the
I remember
co-authors
those.
of that. And, he talks about this kid who was acting out in school and he was having a real hard time. And the teachers, were trying to, work with him. And, and then the kid, he was doing good, but then he got frustrated and he picked up the chair and he threw it against the wall. And the teacher said, that's good. That's good. So last time you threw it at me, and now you're throwing it against the wall. So,
Oh my goodness.
they were trying to find something positive in what he was doing. And, but if I don't look for the positive, then I'm going to be pointing out the negative, and then that's when they're going to feel picked on or criticized or judged. And, I know I go through that with my girls. If I try to point out something to them, do you think I don't know how to do this? And no, I was just trying to help, but they don't want my help. They want to show me that they can do it without my help. And it's I like that on one level, but there are times when it's like, hey, can I do something to contribute to your life?
Yeah, I listen, John Anthony, I can sympathize because I'm just gonna say it. I feel like women are built different, as we say. They're very independent, they're very strong, they're very smart, I think. And so saying that last night, I'm talking to Jade, my youngest daughter, and I was like, Jade, your mom and I would like to give you a little bit more responsibility. And she's like, but what's the problem? She's 9, mind you. And I'm like, well, one example would be the event where you got energy drinks for you and your brother the other day. And she goes, you mean that one time I made a mistake, but nothing happened to either one of us and we both lived and everything was okay? And I just went, oh, okay. You got it all figured out, don't you?
Not wrong.
No, not wrong. That's what Monica's cracking up because I'm like, because Monica and I looked at each other. I started whispering. And I was like, this is the problem. She's not wrong. So we got to tell her that she's not always right.
She's not wrong.
So.
Yeah. It's good luck.
I know. Listen,
good luck.
Because then one day you get a 20-year-old and she just comes home one day and says, Dad, I'm moving out. And you're like, wait, what? Oh, what? What's happening? There's a lot of delayed gratification in that one, but I've learned to deal with it. Yeah. So listen, we're a little bit over the clock, but doesn't mean we're going to rush off. Delayed gratification, we'll have some final thoughts on it. I'm going to go ahead and take the opportunity to start this time. I'm just going to give a little food for thought, not even advice, not even tips, because I don't know if they're going to work. Your phone, whatever it is that you are utilizing without realizing it sometimes at times. Try to go without it. Think about your patterns as a human and try to be in the moment. Try to sit with your thoughts. Try to turn them into positive ones. If you have something going on, work that stuff out and try something new. Don't keep going to things work on some delayed gratification. Jackie's going to really, not buy a new book. She's going to use the book that she has and she's just going to start there, right? Something like that. But, and from a martial arts perspective, I thought about this from my final thoughts. Martial arts, I think one of the coolest things is it's a journey, right? I think the best way to say it is martial arts, boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, karate, Aikido. They're all martial arts. And how beautiful, right? Because it's a never ending journey. You can work on your footwork. You can work on your hand placement. You can work on your movement. You can work on a bunch of different things. So that's the positive. You're not having a bad session. Maybe you have a session where you're a little tired. Maybe you have a session where you didn't hit the marks that you wanted to. But reps are reps. Work is work. If you got through it, congratulations. Take that. You did a great job, right? And you'll come back stronger next time, no matter what. So those are my final thoughts on delayed gratification. I'm going to spin the wheel to John Anthony because I feel like I've just been yapping. What do you got, John Anthony?
Well, I think that for those that thought we were going to end at 9, we have delayed gratification. That it's not ending when
good.
You thought it was going to end. But that may be a good thing because you're glad that it's not ending, or it's like, damn, I thought this was going to end 6 minutes ago.
One or the other, they'll learn something.
The thing is being mindful, taking responsibility for what we're thinking, what we're feeling. It's all good stuff if we pay attention to it. But when we're caught up in trauma and things, there's a lot of hurt going around. That's when it's more difficult. But then, like Jackie said, be kind, even when things are not going well out there. I can still choose to be kind. And then I'm dictating who I'm going to be. I'm not letting the circumstances dictate who I'm or what I'm going to be. And then I just wanted to add a slight correction, because remember that story that Ryan told about the couple in the stairwell. The story didn't cause your feelings, Jackie. It was what you thought about that story. That's what caused your feelings. And that's true for all of us. We tend to think the experience is determining what we feel, but it's really what we think about the experience.
Our perception.
Yes. And when I'm able to take responsibility for that, then I'm being responsible for what direction my life is going in. And if I'm not, then I'm going to be blaming this person or this situation for why my life isn't going in the direction that I want it to go in. And, you know, it may be true that those people did those things, but, you know, how did I respond? You know, what am I doing or not doing that's taking me where I want to go or allowing me to be where I want to be? So that's my closing thought for the night.
I love it. What you got, Coach Jackie?
I have, in referring to delayed gratification, to have the patience and love for yourself to enjoy the journey, stay on the journey, and see it through. Because we can't be perfect at something right away. Sometimes it takes time, and allow ourselves the time to get there and see those rewards.
I really like that. I like both the, John Anthony bringing some, his career knowledge to it, and Coach Jackie bringing that simple human knowledge to it, and then me just ranting. But listen,
No, you can't you're not ranting. You're just doing your job as the leader of our talk.
Host.
As the guy that hits the go live button and is late every single, but I was actually on time this time. But no, thank you, John Anthony, for that. I appreciate it. Listen, to both of you, I think we had a great episode today. To those of you that joined us, thank you. And listen, if you want to get a little bit more of Coach Jackie and I and work on some of these things through movement, right? You can join us at Flow State Martial Arts, which is located inside of All In Fitness in Williamstown, New Jersey. 1041 Glassboro Road, Suite E5. John Anthony, how can we reach you?
www.supportivealliance.net is one way, and then 215-750-0323.
Excellent. Well, to those of you that joined us, I know there was a few of you. Thank you so much for joining in. We appreciate all of you. Be sure to check the conversation and follow us on Instagram. And maybe we'll see you next week. We'll be in touch. But until then, thank you for your time. And we will see you all soon. Take care. Have a great night and a great weekend.
Thank you.